Hiya.
Yeah. So tell us just a little bit about your life pre-knowing Christ, if you like.
Okay. Well, for me, actually, at the age of 7, my mum sat me down and said to me about Jesus, because my granny had died, and I was really close to my granny, and I was really upset about it, and I wanted to know where she was. It was very confusing for a young girl. So my mum said to me, "Don't worry, she's in heaven with Jesus, and you'll see her again one day. If you make Jesus your saviour, do you want to do that?" So I said, "Yes, of course I do." So the gospel was given to me at that age, and I accepted it at that age. So, yeah, that was
your
in the early
introduction,
days.
Yeah. Okay, so it was really your mother that guided you to know about Christ and the importance of having him in your life.
Yeah, it was a really loving home that I grew up in. I never had any, really bad things happen to me. It was all very safe and secure, and I always have good memories of. Yeah.
Great. As you grew up, I mean, did you continue to follow Christ, or did you stay in church, or did you go astray? Or?
I went to church, I think, right up until about the age of 14, 15. And then I sort of decided that it was boring and it didn't really apply to me, and I was very easily led. My friends would sort of say to me, "Why don't we just do this on a Sunday afternoon instead? It's way more fun." And I started drinking at the age of 14 too. And that was more fun, really, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, how did that pan itself out? Because obviously you start, going out, having fun, doing what we all do, just enjoying yourself or whatever. So, I mean, did that reach a low point?
Yeah, I think it reached a low point, I would say, only a few years ago. I think the problem with me, is that I never had this close relationship with Jesus, although it was all like it was taught at school and Sunday school, and I knew that I had to be good to my friends and kind, and it was brilliant. Like, his teachings were brilliant, and they were in there somewhere, but it never was a close relationship. It was never reading the Bible every day or anything like that. It wasn't, maybe throw up a few prayers here and there if life was a little bit tough, but there was just no real tangible experience with him.
So you knew about God more than you knew?
Yes, I knew about God. I could actually argue that he existed and things like that, but I was a total hypocrite, and I would sort of, people would look at me and think, "You're not a Christian, you go out drinking and clubbing and sleeping with people, and it just doesn't make sense what you're saying."
So how did that change?
It started when my sister had like a real miraculous healing in 2012. She had just split up with her boyfriend, and she was having a really hard time and stress at work and different things, and she actually had Bell's palsy. So one side of her face was paralysed, and she was completely devastated because, you would be totally out of the blue. This thing happens to her, and she didn't know what to do. So she did probably what I would do, and that is prayed because of our background and our belief. So she said to God one night, I will do anything for you if you heal me. I can't live with this. This is just too much. And the next day, she started to feel like sensation come back into her face, and she went to the doctors, and they said to her that this is a miracle, the fact that you're starting to feel.
The doctors said that?
Yeah, they said it was a miracle. They actually used that word. And Karina said, "Yes, I believe God's healed me." And so she actually promised God that she would do anything. She remembered that.
Yeah.
She was healed within 2 weeks, and normally Bell's palsy lasts for about 5 or 6 months at the most, I think.
Okay.
So she said, "Yes, I made you a promise, God, so I'd better go to church. Maybe that's a good start." We didn't really know about any churches in Jersey, so Karina found the Lighthouse Church and started going there. And then she was just talking about God all the time. She was praying. She wasn't cursing anymore or swearing, and I thought that was really strange because every other word was F-U-C-K.
Right.
It was really bad. And we'd have these really amazing conversations, and I wasn't saved yet, like properly saved, and I was practicing for the ITEX, and we'd go on all these walks together and she'd talk to me about soul ties that you have with people that you sleep with, and how you can really mess up your life if you don't follow God's word and the way. And I just remember thinking, Karina's really different. So she said to me, why don't we do an Alpha course together? And I said, okay, all right, I'll do that. So went on the Alpha course, and amazing. It just brought back all the things that I'd learned in the past, that it now made sense. It was like my time.
Right.
It was time for me to understand what had happened and where I'd gone astray, and just time for wisdom to just flood in.
And seeing the change in her life obviously helped you to get to that stage.
Yeah, it helped me to think, right, there's something really in this. She's in a much better place now than she was before, and I want to be in a better place too.
So how did the Alpha course help you?
The Alpha course was brilliant. It was just meeting all these different people all different Christians on the island that I didn't even know existed. I think that was the big problem as well, was when I came to Jersey in 2005, there was no more Christian influence. I didn't have any Christian friends or any church to go to, or so if you're not close to Jesus, I think you get led astray, and the temptations are just, you can't even stand them,
Yeah.
So I'd sort of become addicted to things that I knew were wrong, and I just couldn't break free from them,
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to do, was, find the real me again, and find that innocent young girl that I used to be,
Going through that Alpha obviously helped you to...
Yeah, going through the Alpha just actually proved to me that Jesus wasn't just a fictional character, he was a real man, and he was historically proven to exist.
Yeah.
And just all those facts were just so powerful. I was like, wow, I got my hands on it, and I was like, I can't wait to tell everyone, this is amazing, And 3 weeks into the course, it didn't take very long, but I knew what I had to do. I sat down, I was on my own, and I had been asked by some friends to go out drinking, as I normally would on a Saturday night, and I just didn't even want to do that anymore. And it was like I had nowhere else to turn. Like, that's what I would have done for release. I had nowhere else to turn. I had to turn to Jesus, and I knew that was my time, and I did. I said, God, Jesus, please help me, come into my heart, and I mean it, I really mean it. I really want to try and live my life with you. And the next day, I was just like, depression had gone. I didn't have that really sinking feeling in my heart anymore, like that hopeless despair. That was completely gone, and I haven't even experienced it since. It's just amazing.
It's amazing
not to feel that way.
Yeah. We've heard about people coming to Christ within these testimonies that were suffering from depression, and as they came to Christ, that depression just left them. So you've experienced that.
I've experienced that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's still tough. You still get times where you're feeling a bit low and you're a bit discouraged and everything, but that's when you get by Jesus and you say to him, right, what do you think about what's going on here in my life now? And just talking to him, and sometimes I don't like what he says. Sometimes he tells me to do things that I'd rather not, but I know that he's right and I trust him. It's amazing.
So how is your life now? Now you've come into, you spoke before about knowing God and knowing about God, but now you've come into a place where you know Christ. So how's that relationship developing now?
Oh, it's amazing. He's helping me to do things now that I could never have done by myself. There's just no chance I could have done it by myself. Just for example, singing. That's one of my favourite things, is to sing, and just by myself, and I would never do it in front of anybody, but I just love the feeling of singing, and I remember going to church and thinking, I could maybe do that. For the first time in my life, I actually thought it would be possible to sing in front of an audience, and those were the early days, those were the first thoughts, and I actually approached some of the worship leaders in the church and said to them, do you mind if I take part in this? And they were all for it. They said, of course, Judith, we'd love to have you sing. You can do the back-end vocals for now and see how you get on. But now I've actually got a position leading worship And you know, it's just
It's come a long way.
incredible.
Your
It's come a
confidence
very
has
long
obviously
way.
gone way
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I remember, I'll never forget it, the first time I sang my favourite song, Oceans, in church, and I was so terrified because it was my first solo I'd been given, and I thought, I can't do that, I literally cannot do this without you, Jesus, you've got to show up here. And I remember it just before the first verse, remember just feeling like my leg was shaking and everything was shaking. And I thought, this is going to sound horrendous, like, because I'm so nervous. It's just going to come out like a little warble, like a little... And I remember I just opened my mouth and I said, I just know you're with me, God. I opened my mouth and I just started to sing, and it was crystal clear. It was like, I couldn't believe it. My eyes shut open and I was like, whoa, who's that singing, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, you really are here, this is amazing. And I sang the whole song, and yeah, I was still nervous in the middle of the song and everything, but my voice didn't come across.
Didn't show.
Didn't show as being nervous, you know? And yeah, it was really special, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I'm just experiencing more and more freedom when it comes to singing, and less self-consciousness and more just focusing on God and being able to bless the people that are there. That's the reason why I do it. I wouldn't do it for any other reason.
I mean, there's going to be people watching this that don't know Christ, or maybe they go to church but they haven't come into that relationship that you come in. What would you say to people that are watching?
I would say if you've been thinking about it, I would say that God's calling you, and don't ignore it. It's the best decision you'll ever make. Trust Him with all your heart. He has the power to get you through any situation in life, and it doesn't. You don't have to be a good person. He'll just come and meet you exactly where you're at. And I always think about it like this: your heart and your mind are sort of in line, aren't they? They're like the same thing. So I always say that your mind is like a house, and He has the power to come in. Just leave the door open. He has the power to come into your house and sweep it clean of all the filth and the junk and the disgusting things that are in your life, whatever it is. He can come in with His power and just clean it. And that's what He did with me, and He can do the same thing for anyone.
Well, Judith, thanks very much for coming and sharing, and yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
My strength